It wasn't all easy, and I'm not super talented. I can tell you that. But this is my journey, how I reached C2 Proficiency Grade A at just 17, as a non-native speaker from the Czech Republic. I started learning English many years ago, when I was probably 6, 7, 8, somewhere around that age. But I took it very seriously only when I was 15, yeah, around 15. Because at 15 I took a bold step, and I went to South Africa for a 5-month study program. And it was the best thing that could ever happen to me, really. It was by no means easy, but the challenge was what made me stronger, more confident and independent. So by speaking English every day, I developed those skills. Not only communication skills, but also writing and reading skills. I was speaking English every day, and my confidence grew, slowly but surely. So then I was able to speak English comfortably, for long periods of time, without stuttering or pausing for too long. It was just like my native language. So when I got back from the program, it was like, oh, my native language is actually more difficult than English. So there was a strange feeling, but I somehow overcame that. And so then I thought, wow, what can I do with such a high level of English? And the best thing I could have done, I registered for a Cambridge English exam, C1 Advanced to be specific. I was supposed to take the exam in June 2024, and I took the preparation seriously. I watched all these videos, online tips, did those practice tests, everything that I could. But I was still quite overwhelmed, lost, and didn't really know what I was doing. Because I didn't have anyone who would help me by my side. No native speaker or private tutor who would guide me through the preparation process. No, so I had to figure it out all myself. Which I kind of did, but not really. And that's one of the reasons why I created the Cambridge Confidence Program, where I guide students, just like you and I, through the preparation process to help them achieve the results they really want. But I will talk about that later in the video. But if you want to check it out now, link is in the description. So then I went on to take the C1 Advanced exam in June last year. And it was quite a success. I was very nervous before the exam because I didn't really know what to expect. It was all very new, unique, and a very strange experience, to be fair. But I talked with some of those people and the speaking was actually pretty fun. And the other parts as well. I didn't struggle with any of them. You know, writing part 2 was always difficult for me, but otherwise, no problem at all, I think. And so then I was deliberately waiting for the results to come. Very impatiently, to be fair. When the results came in, it was quite bittersweet because I was really praying to pass the exam, and it came in with 199 points, which means just 1 point shy of C2, which was a bit disappointing, but I still passed, and that's what really matters. But it got me thinking, do I really have C1 or actually C2? And this thought came back to me earlier this year, because last year, after my exam and my results, I started preparing and tutoring other students for the B2 first and also C1 Advanced exam a little bit. And it was quite a success. I have many students, but it was really cheap and I didn't really know what I was doing because I still didn't have that much experience. And so that was the rest of last year. I gained some new experiences, but still nothing too special. And so I've come up with this brilliant idea to just go all in and help more students get the C2 and build a whole system, whole program around it. And that was ultimately what I was striving for. Because back then, and also now, I was consuming a lot of business and English content, and so it kind of made sense that I just put it together. And so I started posting on TikTok and Instagram in December last year, and I continued all the way till now. At the beginning, it didn't have much success, right? Couple of hundred views on the best videos or posts, and now it's around 10k, 20k on the best posts. Not too bad, right? So back to my English journey. So in, I think it was February or March, I decided to take the C2 Proficiency exam, or I decided to register for it. And so I started my preparation. I did a tons of research and I thought I would do it alone, which is a bold move, but why not? I really wanted to undergo the journey of just being somewhat okay in English, comfortable, fluent, being able to speak and use it, to getting that high C2 level, which is something most people strive for. Again, I started watching these tips, videos, tutorials, doing practice tests, and I was just trying to figure it out. And then it struck me. It was not just some nonsense, or it wasn't random at all. It was actually very foolproof. It was just about doing enough volume to understand the logic behind Cambridge, what they actually want from you, and then it's pretty simple. It's all about just having a balanced study plan, which at the end of the day, I had, because I was disciplined and consistent enough to keep it for weeks and months. I eventually took the exam at the end of April, so I had around 3 months to prepare, which was not too long, but not too short either. And so during those 3 months, I followed a simple plan that I've created. I tried to do at least 1 or 2 practice tests every day. And that meant even 3 to 4 writings every week, which writing was probably the most difficult skill for me, and it is probably for most students out there. Even you, I know. And it was really difficult because I didn't have a teacher or somebody to give me feedback and guide me, especially in writing and speaking. And so I had to rely on ChatGPT and other AI models and self-evaluation, which was not ideal, but still, I understood what is required in writing task. And so I feel like I'm confident enough to share it with you. Because writing is not just about fancy vocabulary or advanced grammar structures, even though at the C1 and C2 level, it kind of is. But organization of the text, structure, clarity of ideas, linking words, all these other things are equally, if not more important. And so that's structure and balanced study plan. The next thing was just sheer volume and consistency. So doing as much as I could. Because if I did just one reading per month, that wouldn't put me anywhere. So I did at least 2 of them every week. Because reading, again, is that sort of skill that you need to understand the logic behind those answers. Because it's not random. The answers are not random. It's pretty much the same for use of English and listening. The more tests I did, the more confident I became. And so by doing not 5 of them, but tens of them, I kind of understood what was required and what was expected from me. And then I was speaking. Speaking is super difficult for some students, but it's actually quite easy for others. For me, I was pretty much somewhere in the middle. I could speak English, but it was difficult talking about some of those really complex or abstract ideas, especially C2 Part 3, which is the long turn, where you have to speak for 2 minutes straight on your own about a card with a question and 3 bullet points. And that's not easy. It's about regular practice for shorter periods of time, meaning that you always need to do just 10-20 minutes every other day, perhaps. That can really help you think in English and formulate those sentences more naturally. Because ultimately, it's all about reacting quickly and not thinking for too long or translating in your head, but speaking naturally, just like as if it was your native language. But you shouldn't force these super advanced or unnatural phrases, but rather strive for fluency and overall natural speech. And so as the exam was getting closer, I was getting more and more stressed and nervous and anxious. But my confidence went up again when I started doing those full mock exams, meaning you do all 4 skills right after each other. And that's probably the best thing you can do in your preparation, because it truly simulates the real exam. You're not just there surprised by everything that happens or by, how the exam works. But no, you've tried already everything at home. And that really makes the biggest difference between students who are prepared, ready to pass, confident, and those who are just guessing, overwhelmed, and stressed. Full mock exams really make you understand how the exam feels, even if it's at your home, because you have to concentrate for 3-4 hours straight, and that's something you don't normally do, right? And so back to my preparation. I did a couple of those mock exams. It was not ideal, but I was getting calmer and I knew that I could pass. Although writing and use of English was still quite problematic, it was not as bad as I thought it would be. And then on exam day, I had those written parts first. So that's reading, use of English, listening and writing. I had those in the morning and speaking in the afternoon. And that's, in my opinion, quite ideal because you're not so stressed and it feels way more relaxed. So it was not bad at all, but I had still quite mixed feelings. But when the results came in, I was super anxious. I was nervous, I was scared. But when I opened the document with statement of results, you have it here, it was much better than I expected because I got grade A, which is the highest level possible. I was so happy at the moment. Like, I couldn't express how grateful and how happy I was. But most importantly, I was proud of myself because I've done it alone, without any support, reassurance, or anything like that. Because I figured out the system, what works and what doesn't. And now I'm ready to share with you, with students who are overwhelmed, stressed, or don't even know where to start. Because that's the worst thing, not even knowing what to do at first. And I want to do it through these videos and my Cambridge Confidence program, where I work with a small group of students, one-on-one. We build a custom weekly study plan together for each of them, no template. And then we have regular one-on-one coaching sessions where we dive in strategy, grammar, or any part of the exam. They also get access to my original premium resource library, and I give them feedback on each writing and speaking task, which is probably the most important thing to improve. And if that sounds like something you would be interested in, just click the link in the description and learn more. By the way, if you have any questions, just shoot me a DM on TikTok or Instagram. I would be more than happy to help you. I'll see you in the program and in the next video. Bye bye.